Good morning, everyone. This is Sean Copeland, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Kingdom Driven CEO. Today is June 20th, and let's get started. Today on the Kingdom Driven CEO, I want to share a message with you all that was very, very meaningful, and it comes from Jesus Calling, but it's really, really relevant to leaders out there listening today. And let me tell you why. Today in the world, we are bombarded with negativity nonstop. Bad news on Russia, Ukraine, bad news on inflation, bad news on interest rates, bad news on, depending upon which side of gun control and abortion rights and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it is nothing but division, left and right. And the challenge is, if as leaders we get caught up in this, then our entire organizations will follow suit. Negativity will take over, and you will fail. We at Regent Bank, we talk about the fact that, number one, we do not believe in the word recession. We believe in opportunity. We believe that God is our provider, and we live in the kingdom, not in the day-to-day. So we don't believe in recession. But I also believe it's very important that we hear from God during times like this. And so I'm going to read this to you from Jesus Calling. I speak to you continually. My nature is to communicate, though not always in words. I fling glorious sunsets across the sky day after day after day. I speak in the faces and voices of loved ones. I caress you with the gentle breeze that refreshes and delights you. I speak softly in the depths of your spirit where I have taken up residence. You can find me in each moment when you have eyes that see and ears that hear. Ask my spirit to sharpen your spiritual eyesight and hearing. I rejoice each time you discover my presence. Practice looking and listening for me during quiet intervals. Gradually, you will find me in more and more of your moments. You will seek me and find me when you seek me above all else. So what I want to talk about today is how we see what we look for in this life. That is a fact. If we look for beauty, we see beauty. If we look for negativity, we see negativity. And the big issue is that we are so busy and distracted that we are rarely truly present. We are desensitized to what is going on around us. So today I want to talk about not rushing through life, being present, and hearing from God. Now, I want to point this out in just a couple of stories here real quick. Number one, it's called the Raisin Exercise. This was taught to me in an executive training class in Dallas, Texas, and it's very, very interesting. Most of you are probably like me. When you eat a box of raisins, you probably eat the whole, they come in those little red boxes. You probably dump the whole box in your mouth and eat it all at one time. Well, in this particular exercise, which is designed to keep us present, you take one raisin, stick it in your mouth, and just kind of feel the texture of that raisin with your mouth and with your tongue. And it is amazing the number of little wrinkles and crevices that you feel. And then you take a bite of that one little raisin, and there's this tremendous flavor that comes from that one raisin. But you have to stop, be still, and enjoy the one raisin and not the entire box. Okay? Now, I want to bring this into a spiritual context. My friend Dirk, I met him on a mission trip in Brazil. And Dirk, he is a street healer from Sweden. And somehow he got connected with this group that was doing mission work down there. And so we got to know each other. And there were four of us at a local restaurant there in Brazil. Very, very busy place. We were eating lunch. And all of a sudden, Dirk stops and he walks over to the gentleman at the cash register who was extremely busy with probably 25 people waiting in line. And he says something to the gentleman that I later learn is, hey, sir, I don't mean to bother you, but God has told me that you have back pain. And is this true? And the gentleman speaks back to him, which I learned. The gentleman said, yes, I've had chronic back pain for over 20 years of my life. And Dirk says, I would like to heal you of that back pain. Could I pray for you? The gentleman says, yes. Dirk prays for him, and he is completely healed of that back pain. Now, afterwards, I went to Dirk and said, this must be some amazing spiritual gifting that you have been given. And I'm sure that was some of it. But Dirk said, no, what it really is I just listen closer to God than anyone else. And God, through the Holy Spirit, shares with me what people need and what they need to be prayed for. And that was a game-changing moment for me. I realized that if I was going to be effective for God, I needed to be more present. Now, let me give you one final story to show you how powerful this can be. People really need to be seen and cared for right now. I have an employee, and we're going to call her Kara. That's not her real name. I was leaving work last week, and I was driving out, and I saw her walking out, and so I drove by and rolled down my window, and I said, hey, Kara, how are you? And she said, good. And I said, how was your day? And she said, good. And we talked for a little bit, and I didn't think that much about it. I just went on. Well, the next day, she sent me a long email that said, thank you so much for stopping to talk to me. It's amazing that someone as busy as you are cares that much about us that you would know my name. Well, of course I know her name. That is not that big of a deal. But the fact that it was that meaningful to her to stop and send me a much longer, much more beautiful email than what I have time to read today is the fact that people need to be seen. And that requires us slowing down, being present, listening to God's leading. And so let me take this a step further. So the next day, Kara's email really meant a lot to me. And so I thought, this is really how I want to live my life. So I had gone to get a car wash, and I was pulling out, and I noticed at 101st and Memorial, there was a lady sitting underneath a tree close to Quick Trip. And so initially I thought, well, I'm just going to go on home, and the Holy Spirit called me to go around and visit with this lady and see if I could help her, to the point that I even ended up in the wrong lane, and I had to turn back to the left to go by her. So I did. So I drove around and turned left at a light and came back through the parking lot and pulled up beside her. And I said, hey, is everything okay? And she said, yes, I'm just waiting for my vehicle to get fixed. And I was just getting in the shade. And I said, well, can I get you something to drink? And she said, no, I'm fine. But she said, do you realize this is the first nice thing that someone has done or said to me in 6 months? And it just broke my heart. I came back and sent my executive team an email that said, guys, people need to be seen. They need to be cared for right now. So let's all practice that as best we can. I just had an unbelievable birthday and Father's Day. My birthday happens to be June 19th, which is also Father's Day, which is also Juneteenth. And so it was a very, very special day. But what made it so amazing for me was that I was at the Little League baseball field. We played in a one-day tournament, and that means all the games were to be played in one day, and we knew that it was going to go way late into the night. Of course, things ran a little bit behind, and we played the finals of the final game at 3:15 in the morning. We wrapped it up at 3:15. We started at about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was wild. Our team won. My son pitched an amazing game. But that's not what I want to tell you about as we close here. I want to tell you about what the team did for me. In the semifinal game, it was around midnight. I didn't really know what time it was. I was coaching and frankly didn't even pay attention. And at midnight, my team called timeout, stopped the game, right in the middle of the game, came over and sang happy birthday to me. So this is an example where they were in the middle of a very heated game. It was a 3-2 game, very important game, and they took the time to sing happy birthday to me. It was so meaningful. I will never forget it. I will forget the win. That's not what I'm going to remember, but that happy birthday moment, I will never, ever forget. There is a song that I'm sure you're familiar with called Cats in the Cradle, and it says, "My son turned 10 just the other day. He said, 'Thanks for the ball, Dad. Come on, let's play. Can you teach me to throw?' I said, 'Not today. I got a lot to do.' He said, 'That's okay.'" Now, in our life, we choose how we spend our time, okay? And the problem is, everything pulls us toward hurry and rushing and our to-do list and pressures. And I want to share with you that the Lord gave me it was almost like a film of my life one evening. I was about to go to sleep, and it was as if He showed me very, very clearly how all of the breakthroughs of my life had come from Him. Whether it was choosing my career, meeting my wife, being able to buy the bank, being chosen as Secretary of Commerce for the state, whatever the case may be, great opportunity after opportunity, He brought them to me. And the message was, stop striving, stop trying so hard to achieve something. I will bring the opportunities to you if you will just listen to me. So I want to leave you with that. The fact that, all of our efforts, all of our striving, all of our trying to make things work, if we will just slow down, be present, be guided by the Holy Spirit, look for those around us who need a touch, who need a kind word, who need an encouragement, He will take care of the rest. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Kingdom Driven CEO, and we will look forward to visiting with you next week. Thank you and have a wonderful week.